Onboarding a new MSP client is one of the most critical processes to ensure long-term success. Get it right and you'll have a happy customer and a loyal customer, but if you mess it up, you could lose them before you even start. And I'm going to talk a lot about this because we all know a first impression is wildly important, and this goes hand in hand with onboarding. This is going to be one of my absolute favorite videos I've done. My name is Harrison Barron from growth-generators.com. We help MSPs grow, whether that's sales training, marketing training, or even some business operations. Before I get into video, please just wait. Just let me go through this. It's really important. Number one is come hang out with us in the Discord. We are over 900 people and growing. Still blows my mind. Number two, I made a mention in my last video talking about Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals, in which case you'll be able to get my favorite tool. Now, I will also leave a link down below if you'd like to just grab one. But if you'd like to win this one or have me mail you one brand new in the package to your house, you need to go and join the Discord. There's going to be an area over there. I have yet to start it, but you will be notified. It's only happening in the Discord, growth-generators.com/Discord, and you could go there and there will be a little form to fill out very soon where you can enter to win, and you will have this by Christmas. The reason why this is important is because I wish that somebody could have granted me the power to jump through time and grab this for back in the day, because it would have made selling MSP services somewhere around the magnitude of 1 trillion times easier. So it's one of my favorite things. I would highly recommend going and checking it out. And number three, if you are interested in jumping in MSP Heroes, today is the last day for a Black Friday Cyber Monday deal. I will leave a link down below. Now, I say all that. I plan on not doing a single other discount potentially forever. There's not a Christmas one coming. So if you want it, it is now the time to take advantage of it. The link will be down, MSP Heroes down below. It's got sales training. It has open office hours with me. You can come in, ask questions. It has tons of things, including an onboarding guide, which I'm going to be talking about today. There's documents, there's a whole community in there. I would highly recommend checking it out. Once again, link down below. So let's talk about how important a good onboarding process is, because as I've already said, it is wildly important. The most important thing, and I don't care what anybody says, it sets the tone for the relationship that's about to happen. You see, in the MSP world, yes, we are looking to make money, but when we work with a new customer, it is a handshake, a partnership between the MSP and their client. The MSP has to want to work with the client, and the client has to want to work with the MSP. And we need to make sure that we are building trust throughout this process and avoid misunderstanding things later, because it's very much a first impression. Now, you might be thinking, well, Harrison, we sold them. They signed up. They're with us. That's true. But they might have only had that first impression with the salesperson, the business owner, and maybe not the rest of the team. This is where things begin to change, right? They might have had a great experience right off the bat, but they're getting to the point where, hey, they have to interact with the rest of the team. And this is really important, because if they have a bad onboarding experience, it could really ruin the whole relationship, right? We've all gotten that like weird bad taste in our mouth type thing. And even though what it might have been is still good, we have that bad experience that kind of sits in our brain forever. One of the most basic ways that I can relate to this is just a restaurant that we went to. It was all right. And then you tell everybody else about it. It hurts continuously on. Now, in the restaurant world, and nobody's ever done a study on this in the MSP world, and hear me out, it's really important. In the restaurant world, if somebody has a fantastic restaurant experience, like the best of the best would be the greatest dining experience that they've had, on average, they go out and tell only 3 people. That's almost nothing. But now if they have a bad experience at the restaurant, they tell on average 11 people. That is crazy. So you have to do a great job, significantly more than doing a potential bad job. And that is just as important in this onboarding process. So I want to make sure that that's abundantly clear. And now that's obviously restaurants, but trust me, people are people, and that is going to transfer over completely into your MSP. Now, before we even begin, we have to do a pre-onboarding kind of preparation, right? And this is good. We should have some kind of checklist of information to actually gather, right? It's really important that we have these things. We need to have business goals, right? It's important to have those. Pain points, right? Things that the salesperson should have told the team. Hence why I absolutely love this, because you can record the whole discovery day, and that person is going to be spewing out all of the problems, all of their struggles, and truthfully, that is all super important to go back to the team and say, hey, here's the checklist. We got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, because the customer wants those things done very early on. The other thing is we got to look at the existing IT setup that they currently have. What hardware do they have? What software do they have? The network map if you want to build one out. But starting to get those things is really important. And last but not least, probably my most important part of the pre-onboarding prep is getting the contacts. More specifically, the key contacts and where things need to be escalated to. There is something called a SPOC, a single point of contact. And that SPOC is really important because they might be handling all of the day-to-day. Now, that might be the business owner that is your now client, or that could be somebody designated in the company, whether it's a trusted advisor, maybe it's the most techie person out there, whatever it might actually be. Those, in my opinion, are probably the most important. But we can't just stop there. We have to go through the boring stuff, the contracts and the documentation. Now, if you're somebody that loves those things, I apologize, but we have to make sure that we review the contracts, and also the customer knows what the service level agreement that they are actually getting is. And obviously we have to make sure on top of all of that, we are doing legal compliance, mainly the alphabet agencies, HIPAA, for example, in the healthcare industry. But we have to make sure that we are able to go through all of those things. And last but not least, in that kind of pre-onboarding part, we have to make sure that we set expectations, right? In many cases, the salesperson sells the dream of this MSP is going to swoop down and save the day and everything's going to be all hunky-dory. And as much as we all wish that we could just make that happen, it's not always going to happen. We have to make sure that we do a couple things. Define the scopes, right? What's in scope, what's out of scope. Typically, this is addressed prior, but if it's not, it's something to talk about. Additionally, timeline, when things are going to happen, at what points, and what's actually going to be involved in there, and any communication protocols that either business needs to follow. Because sometimes the business owner doesn't want to get an email saying, hey, Sally's ticket was closed for the printer 35 times this week. They don't particularly care, right? It is important to have some kind of communication protocols built in. Now, let's get to the onboarding process, right? That's the pre-onboarding. The onboarding process, and this is my process, and feel free to steal this process if you'd like and take some notes for this. You have the initial kickoff meeting. Once again, probably the most important thing throughout this process, really setting those expectations and making sure the customer has a fantastic experience. Next is going to be goal reviews, expectations, and obviously what are the deliverables? The customer's spending, once again, a lot of money. We have to make sure that the deliverables are clear to the customer, because then we have to figure out, when does it actually end? And then we have to confirm the understanding of the business's needs. Once again, this is your golden ticket to safety, and you can win it in the MSP Heroes Discord. Jump in there, growth-generators.com/Discord. And while you're messing around on your computer, hit that like, subscribe button, and that notification bell. But truthfully, sometimes the customer's going to say, hey, we have all of these other problems that we totally forgot to let you know about. Or they're going to just say, wow, thanks for listening so well. We appreciate that. Yeah, that's pretty much all of the problems that we currently have. In which case, fantastic. The second step in the onboarding process is your IT environment assessment. Now, you may have done an assessment prior, but now is really where you kind of get your hands dirty. You want to perform a comprehensive network and security audit. You want to make sure you know what's going on, you know where the security lacks, so that way you can attack it pretty quickly. You want to take an inventory of existing devices. I cannot tell you how many times I've walked into a server closet or just strolled around the office and found random computers just sitting there. Some of them plugged in, some of them plugged in without even monitors attached to them. Nothing at this point in my life ceases to amaze me. Any software that they might have, and any licensing that they may have as well, which can be sometimes a little bit more of a pain in the butt to get a hold of, but hey, that's why you have an onboarding process. And any critical issues that require immediate attention and action, right? We want to make sure we are there, that we could relieve at least the majority of the pain. For example, you get really, really injured. You go to the hospital, what's the first thing they do? They figure out what's going on, and then they immediately give you either pain meds or something to help alleviate that pain. It's the exact same process in your onboarding. Step 3 is deploying your tools and agents. Now, this could be changed potentially to be earlier on, but it's always good to just see what's going on. You want to make sure that you get your RMM agents or RMM and PSA tool, depending on what tools you use, out into the environment. You want to set up remote access if you need remote access, and any security tools, antivirus, firewalls, backups. That is the time to go out and implement those. Now, your process may change slightly by maybe getting out your agents earlier, making sure that you have remote access earlier. You might have even gotten some agents on the network in your discovery phase, but hey, that's not in this video. This is just deploying your tools and your agents, and integrate with the client's existing tools if they have any existing tools, if they have tools that you can actually use. Some cases you might get lucky, other cases you might not get lucky. And then kind of step 4, we have to fix those immediate problems, right? I know I kind of just mentioned it, but it is really, really, I cannot stress how important it is, because that client, there's a reason they bought, because they're in enough pain that they need a change to happen. We have to make sure that those IT issues are not only discovered during the assessment, but we can get them fixed as soon as possible, especially the ones that might be hindering their performance. And we have to also document these fixes. Depending on what industry you're going in, or if you're a niche versus more of a generalist, you want to make sure that you document this, whether it's in IT Glue or it's in Hoodoo or your RMM and PSA tool, but you want to make sure that it is documented, because if it's not documented, we all know it doesn't exist. Just like if a ticket isn't in the system, it doesn't mean anything. It has to have a ticket associated with it. But truthfully, I think one of the most skipped things is fixing those immediate problems. Do that in the onboarding process. It is so crazy important. And me talking about documentation brings me into the step number 5, is the documentation and knowledge base process. You are going to be building this thing. You want to create and update client documentation as thoroughly as possible. That could include passwords, the new network diagrams or existing network diagrams, the processes that the client goes through, which is almost always missed, right? And we want to secure them. We want to store them securely, or securely store them in our system, whether, once again, Hoodoo, IT Glue, your RMM PSA tool, but we want to make sure that we fully understand, especially the team understands the process that the customer is going to go through. Because if they don't, they're going to kind of get caught with their pants down, right? You don't want somebody going out on site trying to fix things and they're like, oh, I didn't know that that's how you guys do it. No, you want to make sure that there's documentation, that the whole team knows exactly what's going on when it's actually going on. And that brings us to post-onboarding follow-up, right? The first 30 to 60 days. Now, hopefully you get your onboarding done in about 4 weeks, 30 days. Depending on who you are, you might get it done sooner. Depending on who you are, you might take a little bit longer. But let's just call it, you finished your onboarding process in the first 30 to 60 days. You want to schedule a check-in. I cannot believe how many people drop the ball. They don't pick up the phone. This little thing is a secret weapon. You don't have to jump in if you don't want to go to the client, or maybe it's out of the way, but just call them. Especially if you're a salesperson, this is the best time to jump in, check to see how the team's going on, and if everything's all hunky-dory, I hope you're asking for referrals. little golden nugget there for you. But you also want to proactively address any lingering issues. They may be there, they may not be there, but it is important to address those. And review the performance with the customer if you can, right? Any insights that you might have, any metrics, whether that's uptime, tickets resolved, anything else to demonstrate the value that you are providing. Remember, they didn't just sign a contract to give you a bunch of money every single month. Don't give them a reason to regret it, because on average, a new MSP customer will stay for between 7 and 20 years. Have a banger onboarding process. Let's get it to the 20 years. And if you've made it to the end of the video, I want to give you guys some golden nuggets and things to avoid to be wildly successful. Please don't overpromise anything. And then worse, overpromise and then underdeliver during the onboarding process. That will crush a relationship. Miscommunication about timelines, the scope of work, not understanding the SLA is also a big problem. And the worst, and this is more of an internal problem than dealing with the customer, but it will come back to bite you in the tuchus, is don't neglect the documentation. It is so wildly important to document as much as you possibly can. Do yourself a favor, document early. It'll pay itself off in leaps and bounds down the road. But I also want to give you some pro tips, right? I'm going to give you the bad, but I'm going to give you the good, right? We want to automate as much as possible, right? In our RMM and PSA tools and documentation platforms, whatever we can automate, the better, truthfully, right? We also want to assign, if we have the resources to, a dedicated account manager or onboarding specialist if you have one of those. Typically, depending on the business, I've seen a variety of different things, whether that is the service desk manager, an account manager, maybe an onboarding specialist for larger MSPs, but whatever works for you. And if you can provide a clear roadmap of what is going to happen next, you will be wildly successful with your onboarding. So hopefully this gives you a great way to start doing your onboarding. It should give you more than enough information to take it, write it down, start building out the process that works for you. If you want to steal our process, it is available inside of MSP Heroes. Once again, I will leave the link down below for the Black Friday Cyber Monday deal if you'd like to join. Otherwise, it's always open. You can jump in there whenever you're ready, but we would love to truly have you. And other than that, I wish you nothing but the success in your MSP, especially now that we are in winter. I can't believe it's even December. We have some incredible things going on. Once again, if you want to win this, growth-generators.com/Discord. I'm going to be putting up something there that you can jump on the list and get into the drawing of when that actually happens. There is no purchase necessary or anything like that. I love the heck out of every single one of you guys. I appreciate the heck out of every single one of you guys. I hope I've earned a like button, a subscribe button, and a notification bell. And I'll see you guys in the next video. And I hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving again. Love you guys.